Mostly my dad was a very big tech person. Um, he used to be a computer programmer back in the day, and has just been like obsessed with technology his whole life. And so since the internet was available to the public, basically within like 6 months of it existing, we had it. Like before there was internet in my house. Like there was like it was crazy. So there was not like a time that there wasn't a computer and there wasn't internet and there wasn't some access to digital media or something like ever in my life.
In my house right now, we have a bunch of computers. He's pretty into computers. I mean, I don't know if he actually takes it as a hobby per se, but he likes them and he knows it, and he knows how to like search for things when he needs it. So they're both like very technical people. But my mom really sucks with computers. But I don't know, my dad's pretty good. Like, we got our first computer when I was 5.
I mean, out of my family, I am that I am the person who's into the techie stuff a lot. As far as digital media goes, I either got involved with it just by myself out of curiosity or like boredom, or out of sometimes necessity, like I needed information, so I went online to find it, as opposed to getting somebody physically to ask me.
See, so neither of my parents are like into computers. My dad has used them for a long time because he's in finance, so he like was always doing spreadsheets and things like that. I've always been allowed to use the computer as much as I want, and that was, I think, really important, that I can just fiddle around with things. Like, I know other people whose parents, like, they're into computer science now, but their parents didn't let them use computers when they were kids, and that really, like, limited them from reaching their potential, because they only really got interested in programming once they got to high school or college and were allowed to use computers more, and immediately it hooked them, but it could have been earlier. So I'm glad that my parents didn't really restrict my computer usage. I mean, I spent massive amounts of time on the computer, but I was like fiddling with things and figuring things out, and I think that's the best way to learn, just trying things. The first time I coded something, well, quote unquote coded something, was I think when I was 11. I wanted to make an eBay listing, and I wanted to learn how to like make the text look different, so I learned some HTML, and it kind of went from there.
I taught myself basically how to use Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. Like, I didn't learn that in the class, but now I use it all the time. Like, going way back to, like, KidPix when I was, like, 3, like, teaching me my future Photoshop skills. Or, like, I learned the digital media and then was like, wait, I can go to school and do this. And then hopefully someone will pay me to do it.
And then programming is this language, like any other language. And instead of achieving, like, with normal language, you communicate with it, or you display your thoughts down on it. And with a programming language, you're telling the computer to do something. And computers they're called finite state machines is one way to describe them. And for a computer that has, and this is a really old slow computer, 256 megabytes of RAM, it's something like 2 to the 32 different configurations or something like that, that computer can be in. And if you extrapolate that, and you have computers that have upwards of like 4 gigabytes of memory now, and a potentially unlimited amount of removable storage, you have like going on like an infinite amount of different states, and you use your programming languages to control those states. The human brain is capable of making an infinite amount of sentences. Programming languages, they have a limited number of commands, how you orient those commands and stuff. There's a really large creative aspect to that.
The enjoyment I get out of it is building something. Like, the traditional engineer philosophy is thought of as people who like solving problems, and that's not really me. Like, I don't like solving a problem if it's not going to help anyone or if no one's going to see it. I just like building something. So that, I think, what drives all my entrepreneurial things is wanting to make something that people think is cool. And like, I'd love to see something take off, not because I'm interested in making a lot of money. I'm really I mean, that'd be cool, but that's not what's important in my life. I just want to like do something that people think is useful and cool, and a lot of people start using because of that. I started programming in this language called Visual Basic, and it's a terrible language, but it basically it lets you create Windows programs, and the vast majority of it's just like drag and drop to create the way a program looks. And I thought that was so cool. Like I didn't even have to write any code. Like I could have a button, and when you clicked it, it would like make a message box pop up, and I thought that was so cool. And I think it was just like making something, just making the computer do something that most people couldn't make the computer do. The first time I got really interested in computers is when we brought home our first computer, and we had a printer, and this is when I was like 8, I think, and like I went to Word and typed my name in and hit print, and I had like a printed piece of paper with my name on it. I thought that was the coolest thing ever, that like my name was printed on a piece of paper. I mean, that was like a new thing then. Like it was so cool.